Hello, I am Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm going to be talking about the beach rare machine that is coming to North America in October. So, October is clearly the best time to go to the beach because not only will you see plenty of people in bikinis, but it will be drizzling down and gray at the same time. Regardless of all of that, this rare machine event has some truly amazing cards at the very top tier, but unfortunately, the rest of the event, for the most part, is quite lackluster. And this is a little disappointing because it's kind of creating this scenario where you want to roll for the good cards, but you're most likely going to roll something quite sad, unfortunately. As a result, many players may be choosing to utilize the monster exchange system in order to actually acquire the more rare or valuable cards, kind of like what we did for the YYH collab where Yusuke was featured. Now, this video/article will still discuss each card's strengths and weaknesses to give you a better understanding as to what you can expect from this event. So, for my rankings, the ranking within each tier is random, so it's not necessarily reflective of their rankings, but basically the 4 S tier cards are all either 8s or 7-star bases, and then it drops off harshly. Like, there's nothing really that good below this tier. Beach Sanya has some interesting niches for ranking dungeons, and then everything else is kind of meh to And some of the bikinis are not flattering, unfortunately, either. Remember, Yogg is going to make all your dreams come true, though. So, for the Beach Rag machine, there are going to be some cards that are able to be limit broken and thus subsequently gain Super Awakenings. If they can be limit broken, they will have their level text in blue, which means they will require a Super Snow Globe, and then they will push beyond level 99. This gives them a good chunk of extra weighted stats and the chance to tap into an additional Super Awakening. So, all of the 8-star bases in this event will be available through the Monster Exchange system, which can be a great way to acquire some of the good ones. Miru is not being one of them. So Beach Miru has the same style active skill as her farmable version, except she cannot override water orbs. She will guarantee you 7 hard orbs being spawned from non-water orbs, as well as a change the world mechanic. Leader skill is a Heart Cross team with way too low damage output. I think it's like 56 times approximately. It's way too low. It's not relevant enough to be meaningful. So because of that and the fact that she does not have any truly useful offensive awakenings, even with super awakenings, it's hard to really justify actually using Beach Miru as a sub or a leader. And she's mostly going to be relegated to using as a special niche inherit. And the reason for that is because her active skill gives you a guaranteed 7 hearts, which means you can make predictable board solves. You use a full board changer and then a Beach Mirror, you've guaranteed yourself at least a 3x3 box, which can be meaningful in some cases, so it can give some consistency for farming builds, but the change the world mechanic will actually freeze the orbs in place. And if you are facing any spinner mechanics, you will actually have them frozen for the change the world duration, and you can move all the orbs into place, make your happy combo, and be on your merry little way. So it's a very niche situation where you would use her. I would not recommend monster exchanging for her, and she is available for 500,000 monster points, but again, that's quite a high price to pay for an inheritable change the world active that does not override orbs, as well as giving you 7 hard orbs exactly. Next is Beach Yogg, and Beach Yogg is wearing a bikini, which makes us led to believe that Yogg is female. It is a bit of a disturbing image, but it might tickle some people's fancy. It's a really strange artwork in all honesty. But basically this is like the rare machine Yogg, except better in the sense that it combines the leader Yogg's leader skill with much better awakenings. So basically, Leader Yogg ignores these 2 awakenings, but Beach Yogg gains an extra 7 combo and a follow-up attack. So this is quite important because now you have meaningful amounts of damage because both leaders are having 2 times more personal output, as well as a follow-up attack, so you don't have to compromise your sub composition to squeeze in that follow-up attack awakening. So it does give some flexibility in that sense. Has a very similar base active skill, except it's a board of water and heart orbs, as well as a 40% heal and a 4-turn bind recovery. A very high value active skill. And then their leader skill is 6 times attack when above 80%, but you get 3 times attack and 3 times recovery when below 80%. So you always can heal up to max health with dual Yogg leaders, which is important. And then all attribute cards, 3 times attack, 25% damage reduction when hitting water. So even when below 80%, you still have 81 times damage with 2 water combos, which is probably enough for most content. But obviously you have explosive amounts when you're above 80%. So while Beach Yogg is quite powerful, I would not recommend monster exchanging for them because yes, you can farm content more efficiently and quickly and possibly easily. It's better to monster exchange for something that will push you into new endgame content, such as Beach, Barbara, and Julie, which I will talk about shortly. So, because Beach Yogg is a new card, he cannot be limit broken or receive super awakening, so just keep that in mind. It's a little bit of a drawback overall, but in other cases, it's a great and powerful card. Next is Beach, Barbara, and Julie, another new card, but they cannot be super awoken, limit broken, and they have an amazing kit overall. They've got an active skill that reduces enemies' defense to 0 for 1 turn, so Metatrons in Arena become super trivial. The effects carry over on a sweep. You remove Locked Orb status and then change all orbs to water and fire. So you got a powerful bi-color board changer with orb unlocking and a defense break. At the same time, we also have a leader skill that provides you with 2 times health for fire and water attribute cards and 4 times attack. So you basically have an unconditional 16 times damage all the time and 4 times health of dual leaders. But then you also have 4 bonus seconds of orb movement time, so you always can solve the board in that given time. But what is the real exciting part is that you get 3 times attack when hitting water fire combos. So you have 144 times attack, 4 times health, and 4 bonus seconds of orb movement time. So this is kind of like looking like a Vraska style leader skill in the sense that you have the similar attack and health multiplier. But what kind of pushes Beach, Barbara, and Julie over the top is that they have higher personal damage as well as a much deeper sub pool available. You can use water or fire, which means you have much more 777 combo cards you can use that are not going to break your activation requirements, which is a big deal. Now, Beach, Barbara, and Julie's high personal damage comes from their 6 different Killer Awakenings. So each Killer Awakening provides you with 3 times personal damage against that type spawn. But because you have God, Dragon, Devil, Machine, Healer, and Attacker Killer Awakenings, you are going to be dealing possibly 9 or even 27 times personal damage against multi-type spawns. So if you're facing a God Devil, like the Hera's in Altarena, you're going to be dealing 9 times personal damage. That's stronger than 777 combos. So most cards have double typing at this point in time, and the vast majority of them are these 6 typings. So you are going to be hitting for spectacularly high amounts of damage with both your leaders. You have a very flexible subpool that can easily squeeze in things like Enra, Beach Fujin, Beach Tachibana, Amatsu, as well as having your healing problems solved by enhanced Hard Orb Awakening cards such as Mel. Now, I did under-evaluate Vraska long ago during the Magic the Gathering collab because I didn't think you could really heal up and make it work, but upon deeper reflection, it can be definitely serviceable because if you use something like Mel, who has 6 enhanced Heal Orb Awakenings as well as a follow-up attack, you are going to be having a huge amount of healing potential with 4 connected Hard Orbs, and that's going to definitely help you persevere when you have over 120,000 health in solo mode. So one big thing to keep in mind is that you don't always have to heal back to full health every single turn, because if your health is say 120,000, you can eat like a 30,000 hit 4 times in a row before you die, but you're probably going to heal up at some point in between. So don't be so paranoid that you have to always return to full health. Just keep your health high enough to survive whatever attack is coming next, and that's all that really matters. Heal up when convenient. You can obviously use active skills if emergencies occur, but for the most part, this is actually quite an exciting leader and is definitely worth monster exchanging for if you can build a team for her, as well taking into the fact that you want to obviously have some way to address the healing situation because any gravity is going to be problematic, as well as if you don't have a Dark Metatron team that is possibly stronger, because Dark Metatron should have been released a couple days ago, which means she should be coming very soon. Dark Metatron is also another incredible leader, so again, if you already have Dark Metatron and a solid team for her, you may not necessarily need to trade in for Beach, Barbara, and Julie, but with that being said, if you can make a strong BJ team, you definitely want a monster exchange for her and really not even roll in this event overall. Next is Beach Fujin. And Beach Fujin is by far the best Fujin we've ever received because she has the best weighted stats and the best awakenings. Because with her super awakenings, which means she can be limit broken, she gains access to triple 7 combos, which means she has 8 times personal damage against any spawn when hitting 7 or more combos, which should always be achievable. So because of that, Beach Fujin is an amazing card to own. Like, you want to use her as a sub, and obviously as an inherited, you can't really capitalize on her sub-typing or colors for that respective team. So again, this is possibly worth exchanging for if you don't have a Fujin, and if you have, or you can make great use of her as a sub, especially as a sub. That's kind of the key thing. Like, let's say you have a Beach, Barbara, and Julie team, and you're kind of like missing a Fujin style active skill, or you really want to have a hard-hitting universal card. Beach Fujin might be a good solution. Yes, she is vulnerable to binds, but in all honesty, you don't necessarily need to worry about that too much, because if your leaders are bind immune, you should be fine for the most part moving through most dungeons. But the only main drawback of Beach Fujin is that Fujin style active skills do kind of have diminishing returns as you get more and more of them, because it is becoming a more popular and widely accessible active skill. But again, if it's your first time getting one, incredible overall. And then lastly, for the 8 stars, we come to Beach Eshamali, who is unfortunately disappointing by comparison. She's got 7 enhanced Water Orb Awakenings, which does nothing really in this day and age. Her Super Awakenings don't save her. She does have a double Orb Changer, as well as removing Hazard Orbs and Skyfalls, which can be nice, but again, it's kind of situational where you can really use her. And for the most part, Beach Eshamali is not going to have much value for most players, because mono-based color teams have become somewhat unpopular due to the fact that combo-oriented playstyles are much more efficient overall. They don't get orb trolled as often. They have high consistent damage output, because when you think about it, if every card in your team has 2 7 combo awakenings, they all have 4 times personal damage, which is much more than the orb enhances are going to give you, because you have to pray for those to fall down. When you orb change, you don't get the orb enhanced benefits. Like, it's just not as powerful overall. Beach Metatron can also be called Wetatron, which may be a good pro to consider, but unfortunately she is quite sad because she has no offensive awakenings and she just has a very weak bind clearing active skill. She basically has the same active skill as the Rare Machine version, but no weapon assist evolution to at least transfer some additional awakenings when used as an inherit. And in all honesty, you don't necessarily want to use Beach Metatron as an inherit because, well, the active skill is quite poor value. And at this point in time, most of the stronger cards in the game are already bind immune. So you don't necessarily need regular bind clearing as much. You need awoken bind clearing. And that is the reason why something like Odin Dragon has become tremendously powerful and popular, because most endgame content have awakening binds disabled. So if you can clear those binds, that's great. But if you can't clear those binds, why are you running this bind clearing active skill when most things are already bind immune? I guess as her saving grace maybe is that if you need like tape resist or cloud resist, it can be a possible niche sub, but again, not that great overall. Beach Sanya is the only B ranked card, and it's because of her active skill. Her active skill gives you a board of water and wood orbs as well as 2-turn haste. So this haste combined with a bicolored board changer has tremendous value in ranking dungeons where you need to basically utilize many of these bicolor plus haste active skills to basically cycle through active skills to recharge someone back up in time. So for instance, in one of the previous ranking dungeons, players would utilize many of these bicolor haste board changers with a Grimjaw as a base sub. With the haste, you can cycle his active skill back up. You inherit something else over top of Grimjaw, and then you can use his base active skill later on to button the floor. It allows you to basically solve ranking dungeons much more easily in a much more time-efficient manner. But outside of that, it might be a little challenging to really justify using Beach Sanya because her wood and water orbs that are generated doesn't necessarily help any truly meta team at this point in time. Next is Beach Pandora, and in all honesty, the only good thing about Beach Pandora, I clicked on the Healer Killer Awakening, is her Healer Killer Awakenings. So with 2 Healer Killer Awakenings, Beach Pandora has 9 times personal damage against healer types. Now, at this point in time, healer types are not that profound or dominant in the meta. Like, it's only good against healer types. The TPAs can help push your damage a little higher, but in all honesty, you're better off using just 7 combo Awakening cards. And if you have something that has 777 combo, they have 8 times personal damage against every spawn. Really niche where you want to use Pandora. And the fact that you need to Super Awaken her, which means you need to Limit Break her, which is a high resource intensive process, as well as feeding 297s away, might be a big turnoff for a more budget friendly player. Next is Beach Artemis, and Beach Artemis basically has a Color Absorb Void active skill, but unfortunately this type of active skill has become significantly more common, especially with the introduction of Sleipnir, which many players gained through a previous ranking dungeon, so she's no longer that unique or special. Her Awakenings are not synergistic with the current meta of being combo oriented, so you don't really want to use her as a sub because her Awakenings are lackluster. You may not necessarily need her as an inherit because you might have other options available, which is true for many players. So Beach Artemis is kind of an unfortunate scenario, and the fact that Color Attribute Absorb is not that profound in pad at this point in time means you really can kind of get by without one. And then lastly, for the 7-star cards, we come to Beach Tachibana. Her active skill is basically like the base form Tachibana from the Rare Machine. It's +2 combo count for 1 turn, as well as changing the whole board to fire, water, wood, and light and heart orbs. So you have a 5 elemental board changer with hearts. So you're basically guaranteed to have a high combo count board with the chance to heal up, which is meaningful. And the +2 combo count makes it so you are able to solve void damage penetration boards much more easily. So, for example, let's say you're planning to use Yusuke as a leader and you want to use void damage penetration to pierce through a certain spawn. Using the bicolor board changer on its own can be a little risky, but using a +2 combo count beforehand, then the bicolor almost always guarantees you 7 combos, assuming you don't actually have terrible orb troll. So, with that in mind, Beach Tachibana can solve those problems. But the best part about Beach Tachibana is the fact that she has 777 combo, which means she has 8 times personal damage against all spawns, as well as having this team health awakening, so you have a bit more health and bulk for your team. And this does help kind of offset her lower weighted stats, and the fact that she has limit breaking means she has respectable weighted stats, high damage output, providing a bit more team health overall with a powerful active skill makes Beach Tachibana actually quite a strong card overall. And now we come to the 6-star cards. So 6 stars and below are quite lackluster, so it might be kind of quick when I go through them because there's really not much to say. And Beach Erd is one of those cards. She has basically the Rare Machine Erd style board changer of fire, water, and heart orbs. But the problem is, like, Weld exists, and Weld is generally a better option. He gives 1 turn delay as well as transferring over some awakenings due to the weapon assist evolution. And it only costs 11 instead of 9 turns. So if you have Weld, you want to use Weld usually over Beach Erd as an inherit, but just keep in mind that Beach Erd is a wonderful inherit for Beach, Barbara, and Julie teams who can utilize the water and fire orbs for activation and the heal orbs at the same time. Beach Chester is kind of ugly, and all they really have is 4 Skillbind Resists, but what do we really need 4 Skillbind Resist for at this point in time? It had some merit before on Reincarnate or Awoken Lube teams that ran a bunch of Zeus Dioses who did not have good SBR coverage, but we've transitioned into much sexier farming leaders. Like Double Kaeda gives at least 40%, so it's much easier to hit 100% by comparison, so the need to actually run and utilize Beach Chester is quite low, to none almost. Beach Mei also falls into the category of just being lackluster. She has a vanilla board changer of water, wood, and light orbs, so no additional or secondary effect. But the problem is, those colors are only good really maybe for Yusuke teams, but Yusuke teams already come with a brilliant board changer with the double leaders, so you don't need Beach Mei. Her colors are not going to be helpful for many other teams, so it's just an unfortunate card overall. Again, Beach Lakshmi continues the trend of sad cards. Her active skill is the same as the Rare Machine form, which is quite terrible. Like, you do a tiny bit of damage and heal whatever damage you dealt. Whoop-de-doo. So you're not going to really be using her as a card, but like as a card, it only summons 5 Heart Orbs, which is not enough compared to Beach Mirror to form fancy patterns or matching styles, so it doesn't really do much at all. And in all honesty, like, I can't really find much value for Beach Lakshmi. It's a weak Heart Cross leader, and Beach Tachibana probably plays volleyball better than her just because Beach Tachibana actually has relevance. Now we come to Korone and Fu. Kurone has auto heal awakenings, so maybe you like auto healing, but the terrible weighted stats, there are better auto healing cards available, makes it so you really don't really want to use her. And then Fu will make you say F you if you actually roll them, so I guess that's kind of a pro, but who really cares about her? And she's also uglier than Kurone, which does make a difference. Beach A Wilda has 20% damage reduction against water-type spawns, so that's good for cheesing purposes, but the thing is, Kiri teams are more accessible because you don't need to run a Puppeteer because Kiri already has the built-in color color attribute change active skill already. So Beach A Wilda, yes, it still can be forming cheesing teams, but Kiri is a little stronger overall for the most part, in all honesty, so I don't really feel the need to have Beach A Wilda at this point in time, but it's still an option. And with the Water Resist plus Latent Awakenings, at least you can get closer to the 100% that you really want to do. Beach Goemon might serve as an introductory leader and or sub for fire farming teams. He does have a full board changer of fire with the health reset to 1 and 200,000 damage against all spawns. Might do enough button damage against very niche situations, but the board changer makes for easy swipe farming. But the thing is, Machine Goemon is farmable and much superior in almost every way, shape, and form, unless you needed the health reset for some reason. But again, Beach Goemon should be common if you are rolling because it is a 4-star card overall. Beach Navi was actually decent upon release and is still kind of useful at this point in time, and that is because she has 3 enhanced Heart Orb Awakenings and still has the co-op boost awakening, which means her bad weighted stats become actually reasonable in co-op mode and can help solve some healing issues on Beach Barbara and Julie teams as a very budget solution. Again, it's a budget card, must be used in co-op, but it's not a terrible thing overall, and the fact that they have a 5-turn base cooldown means it's easy to at least inherit something over top of them. And then last, and certainly possibly least, is Beach Armadale. She's green and a bikini. Someone said I shouldn't call it a green kini. That sounds unusual. I can't really find much usage for this card at this point in time. It's got a lackluster active skill, terrible weighted stats, awakenings that don't help many teams. Just not a card you want to use. So, in conclusion, the Beach Reg machine does try to make a splash in October, but most of us have already hung up our beach shorts for the autumn season. With that being said, this collab is terribly top heavy because it's only really the 8 stars and one 7 and maybe one 6-star that have true value at this point in time. So it might honestly be just best to utilize the monster exchange system to get either your Beach Barbara and Julie or your Beach Fujin. With that being said, there's some people who obviously want to roll for collection purposes. Maybe you can find a usage for some of the other cards that are not as highly ranked, but regardless of what you choose to do, let me know what you actually plan on doing in the comments below. Hopefully you all have a fantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pet adventures, and happy puzzling.